Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm Will Leggetter.
And today we are joined by two very special return guests for just an all-out classic film, really. It's a film that, since its release, has really become a modern classic, I'd say. There's not many people who don't like this film. I think, in a way, when I ask people their favourite films, I usually get Shawshank or Truman Show. I've lots of people say Truman Show. You're making that face, Becky, but in my private circles, I think it's just.
I think it's a good film, but it's not like anyone's best film. It shouldn't be, in my opinion.
Okay.
Film.
It was in your top 10 at one point, wasn't it, Tom?
It was in my top 10 for a long.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't in my top 3. It was. Yeah. Sort it out. It was always number 10, and I don't know why it got kicked off, because watching it again it's not this morning. That's a lie. 2 mornings back or whatever. I knew every beat. I must have watched this film an obnoxious amount of. I know I did. I watched this film an obnoxious amount of times as a child, because I remember my DVD busting, and having to buy another DVD, just on repeat. And so I knew every single, almost some of the camera changes. I was like, oh, it's going to cut to the dashboard camera.
Comments are still headed.
What else is on?
Yeah, let's see what else is. Coming to you now from the largest studio ever constructed, it's The Truman Show!
Yeah! Good morning!
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
What if?
No scripts, no cue cards.
Morning, Spencer. How's it going?
What if you were watched every moment of your life?
How many cameras you got there in that town?
5,000.
I believe Truman is the first child to have been legally adopted by a corporation.
That's correct.
Brilliant.
What if everyone you knew was pretending?
Hi, honey. Look what I got at the checkout. Dishwasher safe.
That's amazing.
What if your world was make-believe?
Cue the sun. While the world he inhabits is counterfeit.
I'm not allowed to talk to you.
That's how I look. Not your type. There's nothing fake about Truman himself.
And I may have to do a reshuffle. I'm not going to, but I may take a long, hard look at myself. Nathan Sloan, what's your relationship with The Truman Show, with Truman Burbank?
I only watched this for the first time during lockdown round 1.
Yes.
I'd not really even heard of it much until then. I don't know why. But yeah, my sister said, give it a watch, and I watched it and I very much enjoyed it. It was a very good film.
What if you didn't know it? Until now.
A lot of strange things have been happening. Stand by ring cam.
Is he looking at us?
Does he think he knows? I think I'm mixed up in something. Something big. We accept the reality with which we're presented.
Everybody's pretending, Truman. Get out of here. Come and find me. Truman? Truman!
Truman!
Anything happen?
No.
You may find yourself in another part of the world.
Feels like the whole world revolves around me. Everybody seems to be in on it. I'm going away for a while.
You may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, how did I get here?
I'm not in on it, Truman, because the last thing that I would ever do is lie to you.
Fade up music. That's our hero shot. He's gone.
Okay?
Yes!
Want to do it again?
No!
Find him. Truman, where are you going?
You can do it.
How do we stop him? Give me some lightning.
Is that the best you can do?
Cut transmission!
I like your pen. I was wondering that myself.
Jim Carrey. The Truman Show. Watch what happens.
Becky, what was your introduction to Peter Weir's 1998 classic film, The Truman Show?
I don't know when I first watched it. It would have been in the last 6 years or so, and that's just because I didn't get into actually okay movies until about 6 years ago. But I've definitely watched it a number of times since, and it's a classic. I think it's very good. I rewatching it and specifically trying to pick out points to discuss on the podcast, there weren't as many as like for other films that I've watched and contributed to the podcast for. So I don't know what that means for me as to whether, I don't know, it would never be a top 10 film, but it's a good film.
Certainly not about time. Will, do you remember your introduction to The Truman Show? Will's frozen. Okay, so let's go for YouTube comments. The largest studio ever constructed. What if the Earth is the largest Hollywood studio ever constructed? What if we live in a fake life? Will's back. Will, do you remember your introduction to The Truman Show?
No.
Will's
He's
frozen.
gone again.
I thought like, Will's back. Will, do you remember your introduction to The Truman Show?
And I'm Will Leggetter. I think I watched from a young age. Probably my father, because he's very anti Jim Carrey, and he was like, I do like this one though. I was like, good choice.
I would love to see a prequel series on Netflix. That sounds terrible. What would it consist of?
Just the rest of Truman's life.
I guess you couldn't do Truman's life because that wouldn't be interesting. That would just be literally a normal
I'd like to
life.
follow Ed Harris and how he came up with the idea sort of what sparked him in his life to come up with this concept.
And the intricate work, and we can have little subplots and see how the town works. Because for me, that's some of the best parts of the film is those little bits where we get to see the inner workings, first positions, and they're all stood there waiting. That's that sort of stuff. So I could get into it, but it'd have to, and then Truman's just a background character. And like, we never actually, and they only reuse footage from the original film. And like they just get a Jim Carrey lookalike, and he's just walking through the background of stuff. We never actually am with Truman again. I think you could go for that angle, but also just don't bother. Write something new. That incredible car ride. Let's go to Nevada, Atlantic City.
The one where they're trying to get out, yeah.
The bridge. Drive. And culminating in that incredible nuclear power plant. And I'm going to ruin one of my specifically favorite parts, but you're welcome, Truman. And then just that flash. Just such a pitch perfect note. Incredible stuff.
Very well written.
It is very well written. Andrew Nichols, who we're yet to mention, is sort of, people like to call him the wunderkind of this film. It is big first screenplay, just this incredible, just an incredible idea, basically. I mean, it's been touched on a little bit before in other projects, but not to this extent and not in the screenplay. And as we're going to talk about later in Big Question and Fun Facts, this really wasn't the way the script was to begin with. Very different beasts, and we'll get to that later. And then, go on.
I had a comment that I said to my mum after we watched this together, that I was like, I can imagine that someone in this production thought, can we do this? And then they were like, no, that's not ethical. We can't do that. But we can make a film about it.
Oh, right. Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
Someone at some point has considered it and gone, no, we really can't do that.
Well, no, this is in 1998. This is a sci-fi film. In 2020, we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean,
I'm a celebrity.
Reality TV. Just because they're not in a fake town doesn't. The only difference is that they're not an adopted child and it's not been from birth. But we watched these shows over and over and over. That's all they talked about on the special features. Ed Harris, Carey, Linny, Peter Weir, Andrew Nichols, all they talked about was, a few of them said the film doesn't really work now because it's not a future film. I completely disagree. I think it works.
It's still, I think the concept of taking a child that is motherless and essentially forcing them into this fake life. I think that's the bit that's like,
yeah. I just remembered something. I wrote an essay on this in high school. I should have found it. I don't think I would be able to find it, but I wrote a whole thing about Truman Show and Big Brother and.
Well done.
Back to the
anyway,
final 10. Yes. Our 10-minute stretches, culminating in obviously that incredible boat sequence. I split it, but we'll just talk about it all together. That incredible boat sequence and that incredible end. You're thinking the man's going to die. You think, is this going to be the world's most depressing end to a movie? Because it is so, I've got it in best line. You can't kill a man on live TV. He was born on live TV. I don't see Christoph's point of view, but I do see his point of view. I'd like to see what the court trial would have been if Truman had died. What do you think? Manslaughter? Do you think Paul Giamatti is there?
Yeah, I think if he had died in that way, it would definitely have not gone down well. Like, I think his point stands that, like, if he was born on live TV, that, like, his dying moments would be caught on TV.
Still
but
murder.
The fact that it was caused by them was not okay.
I think Paul Giamatti is okay because Ed Harris, like, knocks him out of the way and zooms it up. Poor Paul Giamatti. We're going to get to that in specific favourite parts.
I'm the Rhino.
I am the Rhino.
Let me get you some help, Truman. You're not well.
Why do you want to have a baby with me? You can't stand me.
That's not true. Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
I've tasted other cocos. This is the best.
What the hell does this have to do with anything? Tell me what's happening!
Well, you're having a nervous breakdown. That's what's happening.
You're part of this, aren't you?
Roman! Meryl! You are scaring me!
No, you're scaring me, Meryl. What are you gonna do? Dice me? Slice me or peel me? There's so many choices!
No! Do something!
Paul Giamatti, the Rhino, and every, like, white guy music recording artist.
Or crazy university lecturer.
He's either a crazy university lecturer. He's either the white guy in the studio who's like, Ray, this beat's too funky. He's like that in Ray. He's the same character in Private Parts, and he's the same character in Straight Outta Compton. He just plays the white guy who's like, do you think people will listen to this? And then he goes, God, you guys were right. Tom's really specific favorite parts of the film. All of the hidden cameras, all of those incredible hidden cameras. I'm sure we've all seen the Twitter chain and the Facebook chain of 100 things you missed in the Truman Show. And I'm being facetious, but this film really is so exact. And all the little cameras, you could watch it 100 times and you'd still notice things. It's still all the incredible leaflets, the incredible newspaper headlines, Europe's no good or whatever. Who needs Europe? And Dog Fancy and what's the one the guy shows him? He's like, hey Truman, did you see this? Sea Haven, best place in the world, voted 10th year in a row. Just those incredible little details that really make it feel like a real world rather than science fiction. The twins pushing him against the chicken logo. The first cut to the guards, where they're like, you never see anything. They just fade to black and they play piano. You never actually see anything. You get it. I think you should get one of those new rotaries. I guess it's a bit on the nose, but when he's a clown in his little cage, in the baby pictures where he's in his cot and he's in a cage, it's very on the nose, but also it slides by quick enough that it's okay. The very small Mount Rushmore, Looks smaller than, well, they always use in pictures. All of the agency posters, specifically, this could happen to you. You're welcome, Truman. Arguably my favorite part in the entire film is the Christoph reveal when he's talking on the pier with his friend. What's his bloody friend called? Marlon, that's it. When he's talking with Marlon and Truman, if everybody's in on it, and then we cut to Christoph, then I must be in on it too. But I must be in on it too. I would never lie to you. I would never lie to you. That, for me, also, that's a shift. We're now moving into the darkest reality of Truman's life, because you know it's been a bit wacky in the first half, but from that point on, it really is. It's a bit like Shawshank, really. Like he's got those 20 minutes where he's decided he's going to escape, and nobody knows whether he's going to kill himself or escape. That's the same sort of thing that you get with the 20 minutes here. And how are you going to explain that the 20-year disappearance? Amnesia. Brilliant. Cut transmission. Just a real goosebump moment. You know, he's not there. Cut transmission. We're going to cut transmission. Real goosebump moment. Back to Paul Giamatti. That incredible. He's got tears in his eyes, and he conveys so much in the one line of he's going to drown and he doesn't care. And it really, really gets a nice dynamic between him and Christoph. Hitting the wall and guards at the end. Do you want to see what else is on? Let's grab the TV guide. Will, have you got any more general favourite parts?
You've covered a lot of my stuff, but just to add another thing, the guy in the bath.
What's his deal?
He's like you.
Never leaves the bath.
I do like a long good bath, but also my baths would be famously in Philadelphia because of the time check, because of the time zones. I would call Will from Philadelphia, and he'd be like in bed, and it'd be like the middle of the day, and I'd be having a bath. Because like my timetable, I would have long stretches of the day where it's like nothing to do, and I was like, oh, I'll have a nice bath because I wasn't paying my water bill.
I know this guy enjoys his bath, but he's doing exactly the thing that I hate about baths. I mean, I love a bath. No, the fact that after 20 minutes, it's cold. And you're just laying in cold water.
Well, that's why you've got to.
You're running
really
cold baths then, Will.
Yeah. Boiling.
I run a good bath. It's a good bath when it takes you 10 minutes to get in because you have to put one limb in at a time and slowly lower yourself.
Here's what and I think it's a really, really key choice because they keep showing all of these people whose lives are just watching this show. They have nothing else. And I think the ending could be really dark if Truman leaves and everyone's like booing or whatever. And they're like, oh, what we're going to do now? Well, no, the guards do say what we do now.
I was like, they move on so quickly. When I finish a TV series, I'm like, what am I going to do now? And I have like an existential crisis.
Yep.
Like the guards going, go Truman! Yeah, go on Truman! And the bar erupting and the two old women crying.
I guess it's the thought of, will Truman come into real life then? Because then they might actually get to meet him.
Well, we'll get to that in Tom's
Maybe he'll do
question.
like a tour or something.
We'll get to this in Tom's big question because this is the prevailing question of the film. Okay. What the fuck is Truman Burbank's life? Like, we're going to dissect it. We're going to count how many years it takes for him to just give in. Becky, any more specific little favourite parts for a film so specific?
You mentioned the camera angles, but yeah, just the way that it's done like a TV show, I find it's very clever. There's a really specific bit when Truman's boss does like that and then walks off, and I just really enjoyed it. All the advert segments where they're like, yeah, you should buy this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what are you doing? The rain that moves to follow him.
Yeah.
It's just a little... that bit, and then it suddenly pours. Great. The fact it's often classical music in the background just adds something. In fact, the soundtrack in general is pretty good. And then my final point was just that Truman's scared of water, and I just wanted to say I feel that. I'm not big on deep water.
I love it. I have talked many a time how that my greatest moments of my greatest moments of transcendence and feeling one and feeling true inner peace have been in warm seas and waters, and just you have no control. You are floating.
That's the scary bit. You have no control.
But one of my favorite scenes ever, I think, with some of my favorite acting ever from Laura Linney and Jim Carrey, is the kitchen scene. You know, there's so many options. What are you gonna do? You're gonna slice me? You're gonna dice me? You're gonna cut me? Somebody help! Just that incredible moment. And then, how am I supposed to work under these conditions? It's not professional. But specifically, I've tried other copies. Just not as good. Wonderful stuff. Give her an award. Give her an award. Will, any other nominations in a single minute?
I'll throw in the when he fakes himself sleeping and escapes that little search. That's very good.
Yeah,
but I think ultimately,
keep it light.
Ultimately, I think possibly my favourite scene. I really love when he tries to book a holiday to Fiji, and she just doesn't know how to use the computer. It's great.
And the bus is good as well.
Yeah.
Where he stays on the bus. Yeah, just great stuff. Let's go to best line. We're going to go round robin. We're going to go round robin. It's Becky, it's Tom, it's Nathan, it's Will. It's Becky, it's Tom, it's Nathan, it's Will. Becky!
Someone can clear that up later from the surgery scene.
Somebody help me, I'm being spontaneous.
I mean, just to say the obvious one to begin with, good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Well, kick us off.
There's nothing real. You were real. That's what made you so good to watch. Oh.
The basic gist of reality TV in the modern era. Becky?
Cue the sun.
Yes, great choice. For God's sake, Chris, the whole world is watching. We can't let him die in front of a live studio audience. He was born in front of a live audience. Becky, what are your changes, if any?
It's just one, and it's just that the pacing is sometimes a little bit slow. And so, like, there's two examples of this. Okay. There's when they're interviewing Christoph, and it's just like, I feel like it could be done more concisely, but have the same content within it. Because I was kind of sat there like, oh, now I want to just pick up my phone and scroll on social media for a bit. Like, I knew what the point of that interview was from the beginning of it, and I don't know, I just got a bit bored through that. And then the second is just it's having watched it with someone who was watching it for their first time, it reminded me of when I first watched it. The first part of the film, I know it's done kind of artistically to make you like gradually realize that he's in a TV show a bit like he realizes, but it's very confusing for the first time watcher for the first like 45 minutes of a film or so, and it can come across as quite slow. Like, you're kind of watching it like, great, this guy's just going about his normal life, like, why am I watching this film? It's only on a rewatch that you're like, oh, this is clever because I know what's happening.
I guess it would be weird watching it in isolation. I think when I watched it, I just knew that I think it's just a very well-known premise. So your mother knew absolutely nothing?
I told her the general concept was this guy was his entire life was a TV show, but she just like me, because I'd been told that exact information. Like, the first half of the film, you're just a bit like, what? Because you're like, oh, is this just part of the TV show, or is this like beforehand, or like it doesn't all click into place until he starts realizing, which is actually quite late into the film.
Well, I'll bring this up now because I was going to have it in Tom's big question, but I'll bring it up now. The original concept of the script was a lot darker, but we'll talk about that more in a few fun facts. The original concept of the script was that we didn't know as well. And so it was really, there was none of the opening interviews, there was none of the cutaways. We it was more like a Twilight Zone episode, like we're in this situation with this person, and then it was a twist, like halfway through. Do you think that would work better? I personally don't think that would work better. I think half of the majesty of the film is the construction of it.
I quite like that idea. I like films that do that, when you have to tell someone, do not look it up before you watch it, just to watch it, and then halfway through they're like, oh my god.
But would it be then on rewatch a Shutter Island thing, where we did the Shutter Island episode and you two completely dislike Shutter Island, all the mystery stuff, because you know the mystery?
I think if it was done that way, based on what I've said, I think that it would need to go quicker. It would need to have more like interesting lines and concepts and things that happen that really engage the audience in that first segment of the film.
Okay.
Because if you don't know what it's about, then you just spend the first half of the film going, why are we just watching this guy like wake up, go to work, go home, sleep?
A few fun facts. Ed Harris and Jim Carrey never met during filming.
Interesting.
In an early scene, a bottle of vitamin D is on Truman and Meryl's kitchen table, needed for those without exposure to the real sun. These lovely, incredible little details. The film is studied in media ethics courses, particularly focusing on the characters of creator Christoph, best friend Marlon, and the prostituting of Truman's wife. Tom's big question. Sex-wise, this may get dark. Do they have sex often? Is she into it? Is it a job?
There's a lot of things
prostitution?
that you do wonder, like, were they filmed? Because there's intimate moments in life. Surely they're not on film.
They do
or they're
say,
on after like 9 p.m. or something.
Well, no, they say, don't they? The two guards, they say they never show it. It just cuts to a window and they fade to black and they play some piano. That's what the guards say. So we never see the sex, the audience, but they've got to have a camera on him in the moon room. Got to have at least have one. There's got to be one person.
Giamatti, what a very naughty man.
I am the rhino.
But then the actress must be like, oh, this is all part of my job, and aware that.
Well, she says, my job, this is my life. In the interview, my life is Truman. My life is Meryl. So, does she actually love him? Is it all a job?
I expect a lot of the actors had like feelings for him.
Yeah. Well, Sylvia. Here's some more stuff from the original Dark script. The city was not a utopian society, and there were staged criminal incidents. Truman had a drinking problem. It is stated clearly that Truman makes love to his wife, whose real name is Hannah. Christoph's intention was for Truman to have Meryl impregnated, and the child would carry on the show. There were more clues that helped Truman realize the truth. The scene where Truman confronts Meryl was far more aggressive. Finally, and most importantly, after Truman passes the door, he meets Christoph and the main cast members on a rooftop, while in the film the story ends with him exiting the fairy world. In the encounter on the rooftop, which was in the script, the actors stare at him sheepishly, but Truman, in his rage, attacks Christoph and tries to strangle him, but the rest of the actors hold him back. He is finally reunited with Sylvia. No, this is a movie. It's just a different movie. It's just a different movie. I think that movie could work. I can see a very dark version of this movie, but I like a happy Truman. I like a positive Truman. Tom's big question. We've hit them up, but we haven't hit up this.
I've got a small fun fact.
Oh, shoot.
That I forgot until I looked at my notes again, because you did kind of bring it up earlier. The person who plays Sylvia / Lauren, she's actually from Walton-on-Thames, which is near me, and it's where I used to do rowing.
Oh, Natasha
That's a
Michelin.
fun little fact.
Indeed. Let's get depressing. What's Truman's life like after this? Does it work with Sylvia? How can it work with Sylvia?
I think he becomes like a Michael Parkinson figure, and he starts hosting a talk show and becomes in the public eye like that.
Oh no, I think.
No, I think he would retreat.
Literally retreats.
I don't think he could get out of the public eye though.
I think this is why it could his way out. There's like, because you could see, because also whether it's like the production company actually kind of help him integrate, or whether he just goes, no, screw you guys, I'm off, walks out into public, and then everyone like swarms him like a celebrity, and then it's his like getting used to real life, seeing crime, being swarmed as a celebrity. I think
he just sells the movie rights, maybe writes a book, and then takes all that money and just buys a goddamn cabin. Maybe Sylvia's with him, maybe not. I don't know how that relationship works. They had one hot night, not hot even, beautiful, lovely, romantic night.
I don't even know if she truly loves him, or whether it's more just she's sad that he's stuck in this world.
Oh yeah, I think
that's why
she
was
morally,
trying to help him.
Yeah, I think
she'd become more of a friend.
But he. See, this is literally the ending of Castaway. He's gotten through 4 years on that fucking island, thinking that he's got Helen Hunt waiting for him, and then she's married to the fucking dentist with 2 kids. Helen Hunt, has this come up on the show before? How long did Helen Hunt wait? He's on the island for 4 years. When we see Helen Hunt, she's married with a kid. The kid is at least 2. This means that she gave it less than a year before giving up on Tom Hanks. And poor Tom Hanks is on the goddamn island. Poor Tom Hanks.
These things happen. If someone goes missing, you got to kind of get on with normal life after a certain period of time. Unfortunately.
Just what is that dentist, doing now? It's just like, so, the kid.
Plot twist. He was the one who organised the plane crash, so he could get with Helen.
Well, he says, doesn't he, when he's having to bust his tooth out with the ice skate? He says, "I have a dentist on the mainland named Roger. I wish he was here now. He always overcharged me." And then when he meets him, he's like, "You probably don't remember me. I'm your dentist." And he goes, "I remember you."
Castaway is pretty much Tropical Ghost, and Whoopi Goldberg is Wilson.
Yeah. No, but Demi Moore at least Demi Moore doesn't actually want to get with the best friend who killed Sam. Poor Sam. Oda Mae Brown.
I don't think so. I think it just has to be one of those ones that has to be watched, isn't it? It's conceptually a very good film.
It is, indeed. Becky?
I agree. It is a classic film that everyone should watch, and it's a very good film. It's an enjoyable watch. Just an overall good film.
Is there anybody else? Will, have you got any final thoughts on
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. I'm going to say this now. Becky's wrong. Becky's wrong. I don't know how to mute you. Oh, mute. Right. Becky's wrong. This film doesn't have pacing problems at all. This film flies by. Everybody go watch The Truman Show. If you haven't seen The Truman Show, watch The Truman Show. If you have seen it before, rewatch it. You will love it. It's been a pleasure. I've been Thomas Carruthers.
I've been Will Leggetter.
And this has been The Truman Show. And if we don't... Oh my God, how did we not do this? Right. Becky says the first line. I say the next line. Will, then Nathan. Go.
Can we clarify what it was again?
So you're going to say, good morning.
Good morning.
And if I don't see you...
Good morning.
No, oh, Becky. Right. Oh, no. Becky needs to say good morning. And if I don't see you, go.
Good morning. And if I don't see you.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
And good night.
Thank you very much.
Da ba da ba da ba da da. ba 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 ba